Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to Crash Test Dummy Live. I am Kurt Austin Live. Welcome to the Crash Test Dummy Show, where we talk about crashes, we talk about safety, we talk about safety and crashes in movies. That's kind of what I like to do. That's what I do all day, every day as I'm in the safety industry. I love to talk about safety. I spend an awful lot of my days trying to make sure people stay safe at work in the industrial industry. Spend a lot of time in the mines, spend a lot of time in the industrial areas, but that's a little bit boring. So what do these people do after they're done working for the day? Well, they like to watch movies like I do. I spend an awful lot of time watching movies, and I've kind of found a little bit of a fun niche to play in, which is movie safety. Well, safety in movies. And what's the fun part about that? I've done about a year and a half worth of these movies right now, and we're coming up to a fun time of the year. We're talking about movies, crashes, and it's playoff time. So what about playoffs and movies? What do we do in the playoffs? We crash. Who crashes? Who burns? Who can't quite hold up to the stresses of the whole industry? Who really crashes and burns like the crash test dummy? Well, I've crashed a few times in my career. I've jumped off an awful lot of things. I've jumped out of a plane 3 times. I've been thrown from a bull, real live bull, not one of those actual mechanical bulls, a real live bull, 2,000 pounds, give or take, in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been underground before too. I've been 7,000 feet underground. I kind of like to do everything I can to make sure it's a little bit of fun. A lot of fun, actually, is what I kind of like to try and make sure that I'm doing. So, on that note, what do we like to do at Crash Test Dummy? We're going to talk a little bit more about movie crashes. So, getting to the theme of the show, which is playoff crashes. What are the most memorable crashes that you may have seen in this series? Well, let's talk about the best sports movies first of all. What are some of the top sports movies that actually have some sort of epic crash, some sort of crash element, some way that there's something that kind of harms a human body. So let's talk about that a little bit. So easy to discuss right now. Fantastic movie, Concussion, of course, Will Smith. Football movie, boy, what a phenomenal topic. It's incredible what they're doing. But real point of that was great movie, football. It's really easy to find out. Helmets. The number one thing of anything that we have done in the world for safety in any type of sport is the use of the helmet. Protect the noggin, protect the head, and take care of yourself. But now we're finding out afterwards, like the movies pointed out, it's not just the head itself getting crashed and broken, it's what goes on in the brain. It's insane in the membrane, going all the way back to House of Pain. That's what goes on right there. It's talking about this little thing in behind the little noggin. Keeping that thing safe. It's actually trying to keep it stable. So even though the helmet does protect you, there's an awful lot of improvements that can be done. So we are talking about concussions in football. That was a great movie. I'm going to keep that movie on speed dial every once in a while because it's just well acted, great topics, great actors, great script. It's actually quite a movie. Either way, it's movie. Nice one, Kurt. Well done. Anyway, that's the movie Concussion. It's a football movie. It's a great one. What's another one we can talk about on the particular concussion syndrome? Following that theme, the good and the bad, the scary part of it. Let's jump from football to NASCAR. Bit of that at quite the big time of year. Well, I am wrong. It is a huge time of year for NASCAR. There's an awful lot going on in the stands, an awful lot of races going on. I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but I completely appreciate everything that goes on in that industry. A lot of fun, a lot of great fan interaction. I love the way everybody interacts in that sport. Wish I knew more about it, but I always willing to learn on that one. But one thing I have learned about that movie, Days of Thunder, is a good one. Thinking about that one. So let's go to the movies. Days of Thunder. Tom Cruise. He's been in the movies. I've talked about him a little bit this summer. I can't believe we're going back to another Tom Cruise movie. If you can remember going back to a place called Canada's Wonderland, and maybe it was in Disney, it was a Days of Thunder movie ride where you could actually feel the seats moving. You could actually feel the actual force of it. They didn't quite think about the actual damages when you're moving your brain around a bit, so there's another concussion syndrome. In the movie Days of Thunder, they don't really talk about all the head injuries, all the head trauma. They're more about the body, the physical injuries. We talk about those all day long. We will later on. Let's still keep talking about the concussions. So, what can you do in concussions? Well, there's things, of course, with the helmets. They knew that. They already knew about the helmets. They knew to take care of the head. Really tight fitting, really tight as they can get. We're just sticking with this part of the body right here, right now. Just the head. What are we doing there? Well, we're taking care of that head with the helmet like we did in concussion. What do we do from there? Neck down. What are we doing here? Chin down. Right around here. Okay, so that sounded really horrible on the podcast. Everyone, sorry about that, but I was doing a visual here of my hands and my neck right down to my chin. So thinking about something there, we all in the NASCAR world, not myself including that one, I love to talk about everybody that enjoys NASCAR as a sport and as a family entertainment at the same time, is the loss of the great Richard Petty through the lack of the use of a Hans device. The Hans device is a phenomenal lifesaver, which actually kind of saves the whiplash effect and all the shaking. I don't know all the medical details, but I've done some research on it. It's phenomenal what it's done, and a lot of people wear them now. The drivers wear these just to keep this part of your body here from whipping back. So now they're stabilizing the head, so it's not going to move around. They got the noggin protected with the helmet. Now they're protecting the neck. Okay, that's protected now too with the Hans device. Please excuse my pronunciation on that one. I've heard it so many times, so many different ways through all of the movies and research documentaries I watch. It's pretty well just a Hans device of what I've heard it so many times. That's the most common one, that way I hear it. Just a brace here, the pad, the hard part of the back of the neck. It's almost like a whiplash belt around your neck, which they wore for years, which was like a whiplash brace, which was great at the time, but there was more to it than that. They need more support to actually strap to the body. So it goes over the shoulders and straps in. It's a little bit uncomfortable for them for a while, but they're strapped in so tight anyway. That's the whole point. You're making the body part of the machine. Good and bad of it, that's kind of what happens. But of course, it saves an awful lot of fun from the injuries. So let's have a little bit more fun with that. Working on the body from the top down, we're taking care of the neck. Okay, we took care of the head. Took care of the neck. Well, what comes after that? Well, I don't know why I jumped into this one. It was kind of going back to the playoff crashes. What's a great playoff crash? Well, not really a playoff, but a big bout. We're talking about Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, November 6, 1993, Las Vegas on the Strip. I believe the Mirage. Got to look that one up again. I forgot to write that part down. But anyway, Caesar's Palace. Anyway, November 6, 1993, ultralight plane comes into the stadium. Oh my gosh. He actually flies down in the middle of the fight, and he actually lands right in the boxing ring. You probably see that everywhere on YouTube, everywhere you can find that, them landing right in the middle of the seat. But what happens after that? A little bit more fun. After he crashes, well, kind of gets the boots put to him a little bit while he's in the audience. They don't like the fact that they cost them an awful lot of money, and the bout can't go on. There's an awful lot of danger going on. So you see him actually getting carted out on the stretcher. He actually has a neck brace on, protecting the neck there. They don't want any lawsuits that are going to be bigger than what's going on. They want to get him to jail, take care of all that, whatever lawsuits are going to happen from Caesar's Palace, all these lost bets, whatever's happening. They want that guy to get out of there alive so there's less lawsuits. I'm guessing, completely guessing, but it was pretty crazy to see on the scene. I wasn't very old at the time. I was in my 20s, I guess would be a good way to put it. Very early in my 20s. Anyway, the whole point was they had the neck supported plus all the other damage going on down before. But that was one of the great big long ones. They kind of more like a Hans device, but it was a great big long neck brace. So that, of course, getting down to the collarbone area. So we're really protecting from here up now. So we've done the playoff crashes. We've talked about that a little bit. We're not talking about an awful lot of the long-term trauma like concussion. Some things that can happen, like, of course, in the baseball movies, like the fantastic Lou Gehrig's disease, of course. Everyone knows about what's happening there. Tremendous strides in that through the medical industry. Again, not a medical doctor. I'm in the safety industry. I just know what I read on that particular one. And I read a lot, but that's about it. But let's kind of stick around a little bit near that facial injury and what we can do there, because I forgot to skip a great one. Because we're talking about boxing and some of the damage that gets done to the neck, that type of idea, because you're getting hit in the head all the time. What are the blows to the head? Well, that's a big issue in the hockey world too. Blows to the head. How do they protect? Well, what's the first image that we think about in the actual blows to the head? Right now in this world, we think about elbows to the head, shoulders to the head, serious trauma to the head. They never really thought about the damage of this projectile, this hard rubber object being hit at you at 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers if you're in Canada. That thing is moving hard, and it's going to hit you right in the face. Now, back in the 30s, when this is 50s, when this is invented, the puck wasn't going up as high. They didn't have the curve to the blade like that. They weren't doing the crazy rising shots. But at the same time, it was still dangerous when the goalie went down. So the goalie at the time, Jacques Plante, decided, I've been hitting the noggin enough times, right in the face. My face has taken enough damage, to incredible dismay of pretty well everybody in the whole world. He put a face mask on, an actual protective face mask. Boom. Changed the hockey scene forever. Again, taking care of the head. We knew that right away, take care of the head. Long-term effects of concussion syndromes have been well documented now in movies like Concussion. Again, we're only at the neck up. That's just what we're doing in playoff crashes. Things that we can do in the safety world, in the sporting world, to remember, we like watching things happen. We love watching movies. We love watching sports. Why don't we love our athletes and our performers? Let them stay safe so they can keep doing it again and again and again. That's why we have all these life-saving and safety devices. So let's keep going a little bit on the hockey. We've already done the boxing. We've done the hockey with the face mask, the helmet. Let's get down to the rest of the body. You see hockey players, they have equipment from head to toe. Well, they have to because they're skating 30 miles an hour, 200-pound players hitting each other into solid boards at 30 miles an hour. You're going to have serious impacts, serious traumas and concussions, so things get broken. So at the same time, the more we protect the players, the more we protect our athletes, the more we protect our playoff performers, the more dangerous things can get because we feel more, invincible because the equipment protects us so well. So even though the injuries way back in the early times of sports were catastrophic, at the same time, it's a little bit more of a respect level for the other players because you felt how much it hurts. Like you knew it hurt, but you also knew what was able to be absorbed, for lack of a better term. Right? We've learned that part that we shouldn't be absorbing these impacts around body. We've learned to allow the equipment to do that for us. And that's the whole point of safety world, the playoff world, the sports world, these movie worlds, is to let the equipment do the pain absorption, for lack of a better feeling. Like we don't want to get hurt. We don't want things to break. We want to keep doing this day in, day out. So let the equipment do the work for us. Let the equipment work around us. And we're getting better at that. So we're going to keep working on that one more time. I think we've got most of sports covered, but let's get into a little bit more recreational sports. What do we do in that world? Well, just before we get into the long-term stuff, let's just get right to the main pumper, the heart, right here. What are we going to do about that? Well, let's get into the sporting world where every sport, every movie set, every sporting set, every recreational place should have an AED, automatic external defibrillator. Those things are incredibly important for all of these things for a lay person, a regular person, anybody at all in a community rink to know exactly how to activate one of these things. Simple to use, simple to activate, so that when a person goes down and their heart goes into shock or arrhythmia type of idea, it's actually called a fibrillation, defibrillation. That's why the whole thing happens. So you have to turn the heartbeat, which is going, normally it goes like this. It's supposed to sound like that. When it's in defib, it goes out of tune. Whatever you want to do with your fingers, it's not quite in sync. So the shocking mechanism of an AED is basically to get that heart back into rhythm. Defibrillator, just get it going again, which is what the compressions used to do in the medical industry, of course. A lot of that has been changed. I'm not going to get into the details because I do this in my safety training. I'm not doing this in a live broadcast because there's a whole lot of legal things on that I don't want to sign off on. But really, honestly, you should really make sure that you know your CPR, know your routines for getting the AED. First thing is call 911. Simple as that. Somebody goes down, call 911, and then locate the actual defib. Make sure that someone knows where the AED is. Make sure that someone knows how to use it. If there's someone around, ask them to help. You have to ask permission to help, but first thing you do, call 911. Real easy. Get a phone. What do? Call 911. And then, of course, get the AED, get that moving. Make sure that you have everything that you need to do to make sure the person who is down at the sporting event, at the movie set, whatever happens, that they can take care of themselves. The one I used to rep called Zoll, phenomenal. They had visual instructions as well as audio instructions. That's really important to have a dual stage alarm so that you can hear it and you can see it. Make sure that everyone knows what to do in a situation when someone goes down. You have such little time to get someone's heart moving again, to make sure that the oxygen gets into the brain. Get that thing going, get it going again, get it back into rhythm. Real simple stuff. So we've only done here to here, and we're already 20 minutes in. But really, that's the whole point of playoff crashes. Keep the head going, keep the heart going so that you can keep the body, the engine pumping so that you don't crash in the playoffs. Those are kind of the fun things that we're doing in Crash Test Dummy World. We talk about sports. Not very often, but I love sports. I like movies even more. I spend an awful lot of time talking about movies because it's a little bit more interesting than the safety world. I actually try to advise people on how to stay safe at work and let them know some of the rules, regulations, and safety tips and tricks that I've seen over the years of what helps, because we really want to make sure people can do their jobs. Most effective, least aggressive way to get home safely from your job, which in the movie industry is stunt performers, which could be anybody else in your Joint Health and Safety Committee. Whatever you want to do, make sure you get home safely. That's all we do here at Crash Test Dummy. We talk about it every Monday night, about 7:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about movies. We talk about crashes. We talk about how not to get hurt. So anyway, we're going to call it a night right now. I'm moving my mouse around now because I keep thinking I'm on my laptop, but I'm not. Anyway, take care, everybody. Have yourself a fantastic week, and make sure when you crash test, don't crash test like a dummy. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.